DreAllDay.com.
You are now tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, especially yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into one bundle, one package, one mindset, one method, one philosophy, one book, one show, one daily masterclass that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic, I told you that very soon I was going to be doing an episode on this very thing, so here it is. When I say very soon, sometimes it means very soon. The top 3 content mistakes that you are making. Oh, you didn't know that you were making some content mistakes? Well, let me help you out. Today, before I say anything else about it, let me tell you, I have a text line. I want you to text me and tell me the most interesting, the most intriguing, the most insightful idea or thing that you heard from today's masterclass. Or if you think everything I'm saying is completely wrong, that's impossible. It's not wrong, it's right. But if you think it's wrong, you can text me and engage me and let me know. My number is 305-384-6894. Again, that's 305-384-6894. Once you text me and you are confirmed into my community, you will be receiving my daily motivation text messages, which I send out every single morning. Again, send me a text. My number is down below in the show notes. So the topic once again today is the top 3 content mistakes you're making. I want you to make sure that you check and listen to episode 1835, which is a very important episode for all digital marketers. And a digital marketer is anyone who sells anything on the internet. Now, if you sell something on the internet, you're a digital marketer, okay, in case you didn't know. That episode is where I cover the 3 key strategies for selling products online. Okay, you need to know what all 3 are. You need to understand why they are what they are. And you need to understand how you can create your mix of all 3. And I would suggest that you have a mix of all 3. You might not be able to go hard on all 3, but you need to have a mix of all 3 because you never know when one might not be working for you as well as it was the other day. So you need all 3. Again, it's episode 1835. And I talked in that episode that content is your long-term marketing strategy. Content is the long tail strategy, meaning something that you do now that will continue to pay dividends to you even long after you have done that work. That's the long tail of creating content. And good content has a long tail, especially if it's evergreen content. Let's say good evergreen content has a long tail. Now, if you're creating current events topics content, such as there's some governmental situation happens and you make content about that, you can get more attention in the short term, but that doesn't have long tail energy, doesn't have long tail power, simply because once the news goes away and it's replaced by new news, which comes out literally every single day, now you got to keep doing it. You got to keep chasing the news. But you'll notice that most of the material that I put out here on this show is evergreen content, meaning you could come across it anytime, 5 years from now, 5 years ago, and it'll still be relevant because the topic is not based on something that's happening in the news right now. Again, every now and then I'll touch on something that's happening right now. Most of the time, it's evergreen stuff, such as this episode. So content allows you, in addition to the fact that it helps you build that sandbox like we talked about yesterday, content allows you to be discoverable, meaning, let's say if you have 2 videos on YouTube, there's a certain level of discoverability that people can find you. If you have 200 videos on YouTube, do you think that there's a higher chance that you're going to be found? Now, of course, it depends on the quality of those videos and what are people searching for, and if these 2 videos are these amazing viral videos. But let's just say, theoretically speaking, the more material that you have out there that is quality material, the higher the likelihood that someone can stumble upon you, even if they don't know your name, they're not specifically looking for you. So when I first got known online, it wasn't because I was famous offline and people just started Googling me. That didn't happen. People were looking up something that I happened to be talking about, and because I had so much material out there on these specific topics, I started to become discoverable. Then my name got known simply because I was the guy that everybody kept seeing when they were looking up certain topics. And to this day, it still works like that. Now I have a little bit of a name these days where maybe some people come seek me out, but it's still a lot of times people are finding me because they're looking for X. and I happen to be talking about X, and then they know my name because I'm a person who's talking about X. They were not looking for Dre, they were looking for X. Dre just happened to be doing X, and that's how they found me. So content allows you to be discoverable, allows you to find your voice, and allows you to start serving your audience at no cost to them, where they can just sample the product, and the product is you. So how many times in life do you see someone offering something that might be for sale and you're looking at it like, I might buy that, it sounds interesting, I do need something like that, but you don't know the person, you don't know the company, you're not so sure of the product, you're like, man, if I could sample it a little bit, then maybe I get a better idea. That's what content is, folks. Content is the way that people can sample you, sample your delivery, sample your approach, and get a good feel for who you are before they buy anything, so that when they do buy, they're buying with full trust because they already know what you're about. They already been listening to your show. They're already subscribed to you. They're already following you on social media. So this is the great thing about creating content, is that by the time someone buys from you, when you're a content creator and you're a consistent creator, is that they already have full trust in what you're offering. And just to give you a little tip, and this is an unconscious part of just human wiring, when someone's trust of you is very high and then they buy something from you, is much more likely that they're going to be satisfied with what they bought from you. It has nothing to do with the thing that they actually bought. It's based on the fact that they already know, like, and trust you when they buy it, so that they're already predisposed to be satisfied with what they bought. But if they have no idea who you are and then they buy something from you, now they're looking at the thing that they bought from you with a much more discerning eye, and will probably be much more critical of anything they come across that they might want to criticize if they didn't know who you were before. But if they already know you, it's much more likely that they're going to give praise and be satisfied with what they got. Again, it's just part of our wiring as human beings. If you read the book Influence by Robert Cialdini, he talks about this kind of thing. The more someone already trusts you before they make a commitment, the more likely they're going to be satisfied with that commitment. And again, it has nothing to do with the actual thing they committed to. Again, the book is called Influence, Robert Cialdini, if you haven't read it. And since I mentioned it, any book that I mentioned on this show, by the way, you need to go get it. Point number one, today's topic, once again, is the top 3 content mistakes that you are making. Number 1 mistake people make with content is inconsistency. This one is pretty cut and dry. Inconsistency. What does that mean? That means you are not sticking to the plan of creating content that keeps you in the face of the people whom you want to serve. That's what inconsistency means. In episode number 1833, we talked about the consistency of greatness. To be great in life is not about your peaks. It's not about how high you go on your peaks, and meaning your best moments. It's about how consistently can you be at your peak? How consistently can you be good? Greatness means doing it every single time consistently. You know what makes a great professional athlete is not that they have a great game in the big moments, is that they have a great game all the time. That's why they're great. They do it every single night, like we say in sports. How can you be a great podcaster? Is mean every episode is really good. Not just every now and then you have a great episode. No, it's all your episodes are good. How can you be a great teacher? Is every day you're bringing it, and you're bringing that energy, and you're inspiring your students or whoever your audience happens to be. Is doing it consistently. That's episode 1833. In episode 1347, I explained to you the 3 biggest reasons that you fail at consistency. Episode 893, how to be your best consistently. In episode 392, a key to success is, can you guess? Consistency. Number 1 mistake people make with content is inconsistency. Consistency serves you because you get used to, and I'm talking about with content now, it serves you because you get used to crafting your ideas, you get used to figuring out what you want to say, and actually creating it. That's what being consistent does. You're doing the work consistently. Every day you're hustling. It serves your audience because they get to, first of all, know that you exist. Then they get to sample the product enough that they can decide whether or not they like you. And every article or video or episode you put out, if they like you, draws them further into their relationship with you. So when you put content out, you are building a relationship with your audience. There are people who are listening to this right now who have never reached out to me. I have no idea who you are. You have never made yourself known to me, but there's a relationship between me and you simply because you have consumed a considerable amount of my content. And who knows, it might be another year before I even know that you exist, or 10 years before we ever even meet in person. But it's still a relationship because I'm in your ear or in your face or in your mind every single day or as often as you're consuming what I'm putting out. So you are building a relationship with people even when you don't even know they're there. They know you're there, and there is a relationship when you are consistently putting out content. And you want to build relationships because, again, any of you who's in marketing, and if you sell things, you're in marketing, okay? You want a relationship. Relationships sell things. How many of you has ever been able to get ahead or create some type of advance or opportunity for yourself in life, not because you were better than all the other competitors who wanted the same opportunity, but because you had a relationship with the decision maker? How many of you have ever found yourself on the outside looking in because you did not have a relationship with the decision maker? And the decision maker, by that phrase, what I mean is the person with the money who's making the buying decision. Has any of you ever gotten an advantage or advanced your opportunity in life because of a relationship? Of course you have. Has any of you ever missed an opportunity because you didn't have a relationship? You might not know it, but yes, you have. You have missed opportunities because of a lack of a relationship. So when you're putting out content, you are building a relationship. You want as many relationships as possible. If you got a million subscribers, that's a million potential relationships that you have in place. That doesn't mean all of them have relationships. Some of them might subscribe to you and never listen to you again. But you get the point that I'm making here. The more often you're out there, the more often you're creating the opportunity to create a relationship with people who could possibly be interested in you. So be consistent. I mean, think about the relationships you actually have in real life with people that you actually know in person. Don't you like when they're consistent in their dealings with you? Don't you like the people that you have a good idea of what exactly you're going to get from them and what to expect from those people? So be consistent. And people like when you're consistent with them as well. If that means once per week, then put your show out once per week. If that means you're going to write an article every 3 days, then write an article every 3 days. So however you're going to do it, be consistent. When you are starting out, though, let me just add this as a caveat, you probably need a lot more than that simply because it's a big ocean these days when it comes to creating content. At the beginning, you might be a very small fish in a very big ocean, so you need to be consistent enough that you can actually get on people's consciousness so they start looking out for you. Then maybe you can slow down if you want to later. But as you can see from your host, I guess I'm not qualified to talk about slowing down when it comes to creating content. I have completely failed at that. I haven't tried to, but you get what I'm saying. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, the top 3 content mistakes that you are making. Second biggest mistake that people make in creating content is that you are being timid, bland, and boring. Timid, bland, and boring. This is the biggest mistake, second biggest mistake of creating content. Now, what is it that makes content bland and boring? Again, let me just throw this in here so everyone understands. You should have already got it, but let me just say it. This is just my opinion. This is just my perspective of what's timid, bland, and boring. To me, might be exciting to you, but I'm going to try to make this as general as possible to make sure it makes sense to everybody. What makes your content boring is when you're saying the same thing that everybody else is saying. In other words, you're not giving me anything from you that I can't get from somewhere else. All right, you are easily replaceable. You are fungible, the stuff that you're putting out. Or if you're saying something that anybody else could say and we wouldn't know the difference as to whom it came from. In other words, if you took the words that I'm saying here on this show and just transcribed it, and then you had somebody else say the exact same thing, could you know the difference? Could you be like, wait, that sounds like something that Dre would say, or it just sounds pretty boilerplate, meaning anybody could have said it and it would have sounded the same no matter who said it. I make sure, or I know for a fact that the stuff that I put out, I'm saying it in my authentic voice. So if you could take the words that I'm saying and have somebody else try to say it, it won't sound the same. It will not come out right, and it's not going to land with an audience if somebody else says the exact same things that I'm saying, because I'm not saying things the same way that other people say them. I'm not coming from the same angle as other people. Therefore, my material is definitely not timid, is not bland, and is not boring. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to be for everybody, because you might not agree with my perspectives. You might not like my approach. You might not like my presentation. That's all right. But one thing you will not say is that it's timid, bland, or boring, because it's never that. When you're saying the same things that everybody else is saying, or saying something that anybody else could say, your material is boring. And therefore, you're easily replaceable, meaning I can get the same thing that you said from the other 30 people who are talking about the same topic. Well, what do I need you for? This is not a rhetorical question. It could be a rhetorical question, but what do I need you for if 30 other people are saying the same thing that you said, same way that you say it? Why do we need you? Answer is we don't. And that's a problem, because now you don't stand out. Now you're just blending in with everybody else. And the problem with that is, how are you going to sell anything if what you're offering is the same as what everybody else is offering? Now you're in a competition. You're not in a competition with when it comes to material or perspective, because yours is the same as everybody else. Now you become a commodity, and then it's as they call it, a race to the bottom. The only thing you can compete on is price. You don't want to be competing on price with other people, because then eventually the price is going to get driven down to zero, and I don't know anybody who can pay bills with zero. When I can't see your position, what your position is, or what perspective you're offering that makes me see you as a person, you're being too timid. You're being bland, and you're being boring. I need to know, what is your perspective on the thing? Now listen, there may be 100 other people making a podcast episode or a video or writing an article about the same news item that you're writing about, but can you give me your perspective that makes it different from everybody else's perspective, even though we're all talking about the same thing? I need you to be able to do that. Do not play it too safely when it comes to creating your content. Do not try to avoid offending people. Do not try to avoid being quote unquote wrong. This is the very reason that you create content, is so that you can find your voice and figure out what angle you do want to come from, what approach you do want to have. And if you happen to offend somebody along the way, good, so what? If you happen to turn some people off, we say, well, look, I liked you when you were talking about this, but as soon as you offered that opinion, I couldn't listen to you anymore, good. If you have a certain approach that makes people say, well, look, I like some of the stuff you say, but this approach that you took, or the way that you talk about things, or the language that you use, I can't really engage with you because of that, good. Because every time someone says something like that and they get turned off from you, there are a bunch of other people, 10 times as many people, who say, I love that you said it that way, because that makes you unique. It makes you stand out from everybody else who's talking about this. And you know what? I talk the exact same way. So now, you know what? I'm even more in to this relationship with you, content creator, than I was before you did that, because now I know that we have even more in common than I thought. You want to do this. What we call this rejection marketing, or I call it rejection marketing. This is something that I talked about in episode 1364. You draw people in by turning people away, not the same person. All right, so every person you turn away, you're drawing somebody else in. And the people that you draw in, they get in even more deeply with you when they know that not everybody else is in. You know why? Because human beings, we like being part of things that are exclusive. We like being part of groups that we know not everybody else is in that group. We don't like being in a group where everybody else is in it. This is where we talk about participation trophies. You know why people don't like participation trophies? It's because everybody gets one. All right, the value of a trophy, folks, is that not everybody can get one. That's what makes a trophy valuable. It's not the trophy itself. Oftentimes it's cheap plastic that you could go buy at a trophy store for $10. It's not the trophy itself, it's the fact that you have it and the person you beat does not have it. That's the value of it, exclusivity. And that's the value of why you need to find your voice and figure out how you approach things and how you talk about stuff. Because when you have your approach, not everybody else has that approach. And now you stand out. Now you have a brand. Now you can charge what you want to charge, because nobody else can replicate you. If they don't get you, they can't get what you offer anywhere else. Now you set your own price. Now it's no more racing to the bottom. Now you can race to the top. So I need to know what your position is. I need to know your perspective. I need to see you in your material. If you're playing it too safe, trying not to offend anyone, trying not to be wrong, whatever you consider to be wrong, listen, you create content to figure out how you can be wrong to certain people so you can be more right to other people. So say something that's not already being said. Talk how you want to talk. Talk how you normally talk. Find your unique angle and make sure you're being frequent, or more frequent than you think you should be. When you think you are publishing too often, you're probably not publishing enough. Now, I could have said this at point number one. All right, let's be clear. Nobody unsubscribes from an email list. Nobody unsubscribes from getting your emails if they actually like what you're writing about. I don't care how often you email. You get emailed twice a day. If they like what you say, they'll keep reading it. All right, is this true or not? All right, you can put out a video every day. If people like your videos, they'll stay subscribed. All right, so it's not how often you're putting something out that makes people not like your stuff. People don't like your stuff because you ain't saying anything, or what you're talking about is just not landing with those people. There's no such thing as too much to an audience unless they don't like you. All right, if people like you, you can't give them too much. It's impossible. If I like your stuff, I might not catch everything you put out, but I'll catch up when I can. I know that most of the people who listen to this show do not listen to every single episode that I put out, because I might put out a topic that maybe is not for you. It's not really what you're focused on right now. You might want something mindset. If I'm talking about something business, not what you need. Or you might want something business. I'm talking about something mindset, might not be the thing that you're looking for. However, you don't unsubscribe because you know that next one that I put out that is the thing that you look for, you know that's the thing that you want. So even though you might not catch everything, you catch the things that you want. Why? Because you like the material. The only time people leave your audience because they just don't like what you're talking about. It's just not landing with them. Nothing you're saying is landing with them. Don't worry about doing too much, and do not worry about offending people. If you're talking in your own unique voice, you're going to offend people. Why? Because there's only one you out there, and there's no way that everybody in the world likes you. There's nobody in the history of Earth who everybody liked. And only people who everybody liked are the people who didn't say anything or do anything. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, the 3 biggest content mistakes that you are making. The 3rd biggest mistake is you want your content to make you money. Yes, you heard me correctly. This is a mistake, that you want your content to make you money. Understand, everybody, the purpose of social media and the purpose of content is not to make you money. Yes, the purpose of content is not to make you money. It is to drive awareness. I told you this just recently in episode 1895. Listen to episode 1114, where I asked you, how much does social media matter to or for your business? When people are aware of you, that's what you use social media for. That's what you use content for. All right, content and social media, I'm using them interchangeably in this particular point today. When people are aware of your existence through your content or through your social media postings, then they are now eligible to come into your world, i.e. get on your email list, buy a product from you, subscribe to something that you have that is off the social media platform. Now they come into your world. Now they can see what you're offering, your courses, your books, your coaching, etc. And then you do your selling there. But you got to bring people into your world before you do the selling. And something that I'll tell you, a little note, something that I've noticed about social media is that when you use a social media post to try to sell something, but you're not paying to do that selling, i.e. it's not an ad, but you're trying to use your organic post to sell things, social media platforms are getting good at noticing that, and they will actually suppress content that is doing selling, because they know that that selling is asking people to leave their platform and go to your platform. They don't make any money when somebody leaves Facebook to go to your website. Facebook doesn't make any money anymore because now they lost that person off of Facebook. That's the thing now. Now, if you are boosting whatever content, i.e. you're paying to have some content that says, hey, go to my website, Facebook is okay with that because they're making money off of it. But if you're asking people to leave leave their platform to go to your platform and you're not paying, they're going to shut that down quick. So just something for you all to keep in mind. That'll be something we talk about on a future episode. But people have to know you exist. In order for someone to buy from you, they got to know you exist. Now, you ever made money from someone and they didn't know you existed? If you did, then that means you're maybe an internet hacker stealing people's identities. You probably stop that before you get caught. They got to know you're there. Content is your sandbox and awareness tool. It is not your moneymaker. Let me say that one more time. Content is your sandbox and awareness tool. It is not your moneymaker. Products are your moneymakers. Content makes them know you. Then they will take the steps to get them noticing your offerings, i.e. your products, and then you sell to them. Listen to episode 1896 where I just explained this. I just explained to you exactly what the process is for selling things online. That topic is the 6 phases of the sales funnel. So listen to episode 1895 and 1896 back to back, and actually listen to episode 1897 as well, Marketing a Lifetime Job, and actually the one right after that, How to Become a Content Machine, 1898. So you need to listen to all of those, 95, 96, 97, 98, a quick little primer for your business. All that being said, let's recap today's class, which is your 3 top content mistakes that you are making. See episode 1835, where I explain content being a long-term marketing strategy. You need content to be discoverable, to find your voice, and to serve people at no cost. Point number 1, you're inconsistent. Consistency serves you as you get used to crafting ideas, figuring out what you want to say, and then actually creating stuff. It serves your audience because they get to know you exist, they decide if they like you, and everything you put out draws the audience further into you, or it pushes people away who you don't need to be in your audience. When you're starting out, you need content, and there is no such thing as too much when people like you. Point number 2, You are timid, bland, and boring. What makes you bland and boring? You're saying the same things as everybody else. You're saying something that anybody else could have said. We wouldn't know the difference. When we don't know where you stand or what your perspective is, you're not doing anything that makes me see you as a person. You're just basically a bland voice. So you're like Charlie Brown's teacher. When you're playing it too safe, trying not to offend anybody, you're not wanting to be wrong, you become boring. The reason you create content is to find your voice, to say something that isn't already being said. So you can talk how you talk, find your unique angle, and be frequent. Because again, when people like you, they don't complain about how much stuff you're putting out. They might not even take it all in, but they're not going to complain because they like your stuff. Point number 3, you want your content to make you money. All right, this is the wrong strategy. The purpose of social media and content is not to make you money. It is to create awareness. The awareness draws people into your world. Then you sell them stuff. Then you make money. See episode 1895 where I explain this. When people are aware of you, they will come into your world to see your offerings, and then you do your selling thing. But if they don't know you exist, you can't sell something. Content is your sandbox and awareness tool. It is not your money maker. Your products make you money. Content gets them to know you. Then when they know you, then you make them an offer to come into your world. Then you sell them whatever it is you want to sell them. Now, selling is a whole different conversation. Take the steps to get them noticing your offerings, though, which is creating that content so you can be out there in the world and be seen. Send me a text. Tell me the best insight you got from today's class. My number is 305-384-6894. If you are a content creator, online marketer, or you want to be a content creator, online marketer, and you want some help, you want someone to help hold you accountable, or to give you some insights and some strategies and tactics to help you get your business stuff out there so you can actually start making money from your intellectual property, being the knowledge that is in your head, and yes, it can be done. Join the 3rd Day Mastermind, which is my mastermind, which we ain't letting everybody in. All right, I had to be selective about who gets in. So you can sign up for a call with me, Zoom call. We'll talk about where you're at, where you want to go, and how I could possibly help you, see if you're a good fit. My number is, I already gave you my number. Actually, the website to get the call, sign up for the call, is workonyourgameuniversity.com. That's workonyourgameuniversity.com. Or you can just send me a text and ask me for the link. I will send you back a text with the link so you can sign up for that call. Work on your game. Dre all day.